Hi guys, couple of minutes of the history of coffee. I'm not going to tell you everything because I don't know the main things, or what was going on actually with the coffee around the world, around the globe. But here's the thing, the nationality of coffee, let's say like this, happened in Africa, and we know Ethiopia and other regions that started growing coffee and they started even eating coffee, and that thing was one of the interesting things those days for many people who were thinking that this is a special food sent from gods, that you can have a lot of energy after eating it. So actually this happened in Africa. But then Arabians came to Africa and they took a lot of samples of coffee beans and they delivered back to the Arabian Peninsula. And in some days, in some years, in some decades actually, in some hundreds of years, they started roasting coffee at home. And that was the beginning of coffee roasting era, let's say, around the globe. So Arabs were the first people who started roasting coffee, and they found this a very attractive and very interesting thing. And again, they started to having coffee shops, started roasting at home, at their balconies, at their kitchens, and they started sharing this knowledge and experience, from family to family, from friends to friends. And this is how the coffee actually spread around the globe. So first of all, coffee was delivered to many countries like China, like Europe, and they started to having a lot of nice and great things. Let's not forget the history. Christopher Columbus was traveling across the globe. They started again collecting the coffee beans from other continents, bringing back to Europe, and the Europe was becoming, kind of a special place for roasting coffee, because here, especially in Italy, Spain, Portugal, actually people started roasting coffee in a huge amounts and in a way that they're starting to getting a very great results. And this was a half of the culture that was delivered. Then coffee traveled to the USA, and again the same way coffee was roasted at home. People were even found of that they can roast their coffee at home and they can have different blends, different tastes, different roast styles. And so actually this happened till the 20th century. Then coffee happened to have a very big industrial and commercial factories that started to roasting coffee in big quantities. And this is how we came to such an era where actually we have a lot of companies outside who are roasting coffee in huge amounts. And this is a totally different story of how they are doing that. So maybe there will be some topics I'll cover someday at the YouTube video. But now the thing is that people started to realizing that no matter what, actually roasting coffee at home is something that was long time forgot, no matter that it took a couple of hundreds of years, from the beginning to the roasting of machines, in the factories. But then again, people found out that, there's a thing that we should come back home and roast coffee at home. Why? Because we can have a top-notch coffee actually, and especially specialty coffee that we can roast at home. So here is a thing that we are now in the 21st century, where we have a lot of factories roasting coffee, but again, we have a very nice thing happening nowadays around the globe, that people are getting back to the roasting coffee at home. And we have a lot of nice startups and companies who already have offering a great roasting machines at home. So my recommendation is always have a great coffee, taste it, find it how the great coffee tastes for you. And if you have a chance, buy some device and try to roast coffee at home. Always remember the thing that roasting coffee takes practice, takes a lot of efforts, because once you are eager to roast coffee at home, it will take you to somewhere, either to some very special place where you are going to roast a very good, great specialty coffee, or maybe it will take you to a place where you say, well, this coffee doesn't make any sense and I'm going better to a whole market and actually sell coffee, buy coffee there, and I'm not going to get too much into that. So I think, from that perspective, you might always think over which is better way. My way is roasting coffee at home. Your way maybe is buying coffee at all markets, but my recommendation is always, if you have a chance, try to roast coffee, try to find a way. And I think the best way starting coffee is starting small with the small roasting machines, maybe even pan, maybe some popcorn machines. And then if you find that this process is great for you, my recommendation is buying a great coffee machine, and the roastery at home is always a thing that you can find yourself a great hobby. So this was a little lesson about history, about a little bit of roasting. And if you find my YouTube profile interesting, subscribe for that, and I'm definitely going to share more videos with these things to you guys. And see you. My name was Simonas, and I'm actually representing Sandbox for the Baltic States, and I'm really happy that you are joining me in this YouTube channel. See you.